Well, here we are.
Exciting.
The new book. Our new book, 6 years to the making.
Whoa.
Look at that.
Oh, Sharon, it's fabulous.
It really is. Oh my God. It only took us 6 years, Anne.
Oh, the images look beautiful.
They really do. Look at this. It's absolutely gorgeous. Oh, no images come up there brilliantly. Loads of beautiful images.
Oh yeah, look at Vesna's picture
It's
of
gorgeous.
the parsonage.
That's so gorgeous. Show the one of the bull. The bull, Bramwell's haunt. We've got lots of everywhere.
Wow, that one's come out really good.
Oh my God. Cambridge.
High Sunderland Hall.
Well, we love it. We hope you love it as well. It's been such a labour of love, this, hasn't it?
It certainly has, and it's involved us going to some fabulous places.
That's the start of the coastal chapter. That's a picture of Anne's and Bronte's grave, as many of you will know.
The Black Bull, Haworth.
Fabulous. And there's lots of treats in here. There's lots of things that people won't have seen before, to be honest. Lots of things from the Brontë collection being very generous. And other people's collections around the country, from Cambridge, where Mr. Brontë studied, to the Armit, where Harriet Martineau's collection is. Friend of Charlotte Bronte's, obviously.
Oh yeah,
That's,
that's
for
come up
instance.
really good. I think strangely enough, the section that I found the hardest to write was the section on the parsonage. And when you think that I've worked at the parsonage for 36 years and I know the building better than any other, it was quite difficult trying to kind of get together all that new information that's come to light, and trying to capture the way I feel about the building. I really enjoyed writing all the Haworth sections. I've been so interested in all the Haworth stories and buildings for such a long time. So it was really good to actually make use of that research, all those stories, and actually do something with them.
It's been an absolute privilege actually working with Anne. Her extensive, exhaustive knowledge of the Brontes, their world, their work, where they did and didn't go. It's been fabulous. We've had some good adventures, haven't we?
Yeah, I think Cowan Bridge, going to Cowan Bridge was one of my favourite episodes in the book. Not only is it so beautiful, it was so unexpected to actually have such a wonderful time in a building which is so known for its sad connections.
It became Lowood in Jane Eyre, of course. So being there and feeling a bit guilty that we really liked being there, didn't we? With all the little ghosts at the window.
And also, I think the time we were researching the book, it turned out to be a really, really good time to be working on it, because the Brontë birthplace came into community ownership, and we were there right at the start. I was one of the trustees, and it gave us privileged access to that building and all the restoration that's been going on there from start to finish. And of course the old post office in Haworth, that was one of the other buildings which was being renovated.
We were allowed in. Everyone let us in, which was such a privilege. Going along up the dusty stairs, weren't we, and seeing all the sort of period features being restored.
And I think going to Ireland and seeing Ireland for the first time, which you wrote a wonderful piece in here about.
So we went to County Down, where Mr. Brontë was born and raised, and went to the birthplace. It's so humble, and it's part of this book is our first person account of, you know, what role it had in the Brontë story, but also our reaction to it and the afterlife of these places, which are fascinating, really. I mean, the afterlife of Mr. Bronte's sort of landmark places in County Down are astonishing. And then we drove down, didn't we, from Belfast down to Banagher and explored where Charlotte Brontë obviously went for her honeymoon with Arthur Bell Nichols. We made so welcome and shown so many interesting places.
We even had tea with the Brontë when we were in County Down.
No one escaped. But that, if you're absolutely fascinated by the Brontës, which we are, and hopefully you are, all these places yielded a story. So there's some really sad stories, like the story of Lousy Farm in Kirklees, which is now slated for partial demolition. That is a shocking story, and it's all in here. There's also my story of being in London and going to Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey last year and thinking, I'm not seeing things. They've misspelled the names of the Brontës. Didn't have the diaresis of dots over the final E. And that had been there for 85 years. I thought, well, I can't be the first person. But evidently I was. And we had that changed, didn't we? When we were there, they closed the Abbey that morning before visitors arrived. And Anne and Rebecca came down from Haworth. It was really emotional, wasn't it?
It was.
And we saw them restoring.
It felt like
proper
history in the making.
A correction in stone. And as a journalist, that makes me laugh, really. It's just wrong. That just was their name. So we've charted all that in here. The chapter's actually called The Case of the Brontës and the Virtuous Looking Weasels. Now, you'll have to read it to find out why that is. But it's quite the saga. Obviously, my first book is about Mrs. Brontë, so we went to Penzance. And Penzance is where we became friends, isn't it, really?
And that's where the initial idea to do this book came about, set us on this incredible journey. So it's quite a special place for us.
It really was, because I remember watching Anne going into Mrs. Maria Branwell, as she was then, their house in Penzance, which is very solid, very lovely, and the people who own it are so generous. They're all thanked in the book. It's in private ownership, like many of these places are. I remember watching you go in the door, and you looked really choked. Like I
was really choked.
Yeah.
I think buildings and their atmosphere have a really significant impact on me. I like to kind of absorb them, particularly old houses. Pondon Hall is one of my favourite places. Kipping House at Thornton.
Yeah.
There's a whole string of them.
Kipping House at Thornton is a really crucial and often overlooked part of the Brontë story, and that was fascinating, telling that story, finding out more about Elizabeth Firth's fate and how they were woven into the Brontë life. That was really fascinating. And again, very welcoming. I was giving tours at one point, wasn't I?
Yeah, but all these stories are fed into the book. And I'm hoping that people are going to find new information here. For anyone that's interested in the Brontës, that enjoys old houses, I think they're going to enjoy the book.
And hopefully we made the decision very early on that we couldn't put every book in, and we always joke, don't we, that people think the Brontës didn't get out much. They really did. So we couldn't put every single building in, but we've put a really big selection that we think are really important and have lots to tell us about the Brontës then and now, and why we're also interested in them all these years later, and what heritage means, really. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And the book is out on July the 3rd. It's being launched by the Brontë Society in Haworth. And we've got a whole string of events around the country.
Yeah, so far we know we're going to... So yes, there's a launch at the schoolhouse opposite the parsonage. There's still tickets online, I think, if you wanted to come along to that.
But not many.
Not
so
many.
Get there quick.
3rd of July. We've got a lovely event at the Bradford Literature Festival. We've got a nice event at Wave of Nostalgia, the lovely independent bookshop.
Yeah.
We're going to Truro, we're going to Penzance, we're going to
Liverpool later in the year. We're going to the Lake District.
Go to Brussels next year. And lots of other things are sort of in the pipeline. So we're going to make sure that everybody knows about those. So come along and say hello, listen to what we've got to say, buy the book and enjoy the book like we have. Because we've had such a ball, and we're a bit sad it's done in a way.
Yeah, we need to do volume 2.
We do. Yeah. The Brontës in Bricks and Mortar, the sequel. So, do come along to one of our events, or just go to the Brontë Parsonage bookshop or website. You'll be able to buy it from July. It's absolutely beautiful. And we've got some lovely comments actually. Shall I read some out?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't got the reading glasses on. But we've been described as a gripping tour through... Oh, anyway, I can't read it. Have you got your reading glasses on?
I don't need them.
See, this is us all over. We're great at PR, aren't we? So, the book's out and we hope you love it as much as we do.